Hey, this is Mo Lunsford at Union Grove Lumber Studios.
And this is the Shed Geek. We want to welcome you to today's episode.
Welcome back to this week's episode of the Shed Geek podcast. This is Susan Frere, Shed Gal. I have the absolute pleasure today to be with Mariah Dutton of It's Okay, Shed Happens. Mariah, welcome. Thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you, Susan.
So let's start out, and you're fairly new to the industry. This is unscripted. Who knows where the conversation's going to go? I will mention that this is Magnificent Monday with the Shed Gal on the Shed Geek podcast. Every guest I have is magnificent on here. Mariah, you're fairly new to the industry. When did you get into the industry?
I started December 8th of last year.
Okay, wonderful. And you do both portable buildings and metal buildings, correct?
I do. Yes.
Okay. So tell me about what got you. I know the story, but I want our listeners and viewers to know what got you into the shed industry. Everybody has a unique story of how they got here.
Well, a little over a year ago, or right out a year ago, I was a drug addict and living in a 12 by 12 enclosed trailer.
Wow.
I decided to get my life together. I went and purchased a building on an RTO and had such a really good experience with the lady that I purchased from. I started asking her if she needed help around the lot or, just company, whatever. I just knew that I wanted to be involved.
Yeah.
And then a lot about 45 minutes south of me opened up, and I started calling the sales rep every other day for 3 weeks, telling them I wanted a job. And the rest is history. It's amazing. It's been a wonderful decision. I now live in a lovely apartment. I was able to get into that maybe 3 or 4 months in. It's quite an upgrade from an enclosed trailer. I love my customers. It's been a really awesome experience.
Mm-hmm. So you and I have talked about you. You're an open book, and I appreciate. I love transparency. I just, those are my favorite type of people, is people who are transparent. You've had some challenges in your life. You've had, and many of us have. Please, it's not, we don't have to discuss anything. But I think part of what I would love to talk to you today is about how this industry gives people an opportunity that many other industries don't even allow. I mean, I think most people that listen know my story. I had just a horrible experience 7.5 years ago buying a shed. And I, was up in Washington State and talking to the owner of a company and just said, gosh, it just, there's such a better way. And that simple little conversation that I had turned into, 2 weeks later, I was selling sheds. And I've always vowed to do it differently. So we all have this story of how we got here. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's a bad experience. In your case, I love the fact that it was a good experience. I happen to know who you bought your shed from, and that's Miss Julie Gonzalez, who is absolutely fantastic. And so I know you're being transparent there. How did that conversation with her? You bought a shed. How did that transpire into you're selling sheds?
Well, Miss Julie changed my life that day. And at the time, I knew things were in an upward momentum. I had gotten sober and all of that stuff, but I was still living in the enclosed trailer. And my reality was I'm a felon. And it makes it really hard to get a job, especially one that's actually going to pay you something that you can live on and, really prosper. So I spoke to her, and she let me know that that was not an issue. in this industry, and I was absolutely floored. I had no idea.
Right.
Um, and I mean, just opening that door for me, giving me a chance to see that I am fully capable of being
Yeah.
a productive citizen, and that, mistakes don't have to rule the rest of our lives.
Yes.
Um,
I love that. And I'm reflecting back on a podcast I did a few months ago with Rebecca Waite. And she's down
I
in
loved that episode.
yeah, yes, yeah, it was a good one. We never know where the conversation's going to go. I knew a little of the history, but I'm not going to press anybody to share stuff that they don't feel comfortable sharing. And that episode, like, it gives me literally I have goosebumps on my arm right now of thinking about it, because how this industry has allowed her to blossom and allowed her to continue changing her life. And this is just my
It's
opinion.
wonderful.
This is just my opinion. Our justice system punishes, not rehabilitates, and then we expect people to do their time, and so to speak, whether it be in jail or prison or probation or whatever, and then we don't do anything to rehabilitate them, and then we take away the opportunities to earn a decent income. And this industry, there's others, but this industry is very, I guess, I don't know the word, maybe it's very forgiving, that let's give chances, let's know that people make mistakes and can change from that, as long as they've actually changed from it, of course.
Absolutely.
That's a whole other show. So I mean, it's very, very, very impressive. So you talked to her about becoming a dealer, and then a lot became open.
Mhm.
And then what happened then?
I called the sales rep and said, "Hey, sir, I'd like a job."
Yeah.
He said, "Well, you live awfully far away." I said, "I don't care. I want a job anyway. I'll drive. I'll make it."
How far was it?
45 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Okay,
And
I'm not going to keep my opinion to myself. Folks, when you find a great dealer, 45 minutes is nothing. So I mean that's actually kind of laughable to me. It's like it's too far. Come on. What my guy Dan and Don, I don't know who Don is. I don't have a Don. My guy Dan in South Carolina was driving 90 minutes each way to work to be a dealer. And he doesn't have a record or anything else, but it's like when you find the right person, 45 minutes is nothing. Anyway, okay, so fortunately, you didn't take no for an answer.
no, I didn't. I called him every other day, like clockwork, for 3 weeks, just asking him, "Hey, you know what? I want a job. Hey, guess what? Did you know what? I want a job. Oh, hey, I don't know if you knew this. I still want a job."
I love it.
He saw that tenacity. Um, uh, he saw the tenacity, and that, I was really wanting to work. So this lot, when I got there, it didn't have a great reputation. Um, it had some unfortunate choices for dealers before that.
They lived
Uh,
closer.
they did. So I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe it was my first 3 weeks. I either doubled or tripled the previous 2 years as far as sales. I know I did that within the first maybe 2 months.
Yeah, you had
Um,
and we've talked about this, and I don't remember. You had what did you do in a 1 month period? It was substantial. I remember, but I don't remember what it was.
I did. I started December 8th. By December 31st, I had done 65,000.
Yeah, yeah, over Christmas. Yeah, with the holidays. I mean,
I
that's
actually sold one out of my home on Christmas Eve.
you did what? Say that again.
I sold one out of my home on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, yeah, I love it.
Um,
I sold one off the tailgate of my truck at a gas station outside of Snohomish, Washington on Christmas Eve. So I can relate. I mean, and that's very, very impressive. I mean, there will be people that are listening who have never sold that amount in a month. There will be people listening that always sell more than that amount in a month. But to sell that amount when
Absolutely.
you first start over Christmas, there is no way that that is not completely impressive. And it's the tenacity and the drive. Now I know for a fact that you've had months higher than that, but that
I
wasn't even a
have.
full month. Yeah, that wasn't even a full month. What do you think? I hear it all the time. It's an election year. Every single time it's an election year, sales go down. Well, that's not true because they didn't go down 4 years ago. So that totally negates the it always happens. The guy down the street is $200 cheaper. The person down the street offers something we don't offer. I think we both know, and many of our listeners know, not all though, it, those things are not all of the reason, or probably even most of the reason why a lot of dealers are having a hard time. And you know my heart of helping, manufacturers and haulers and dealers in this industry. Why do you
Dude,
think, what did you do that what could you give some advice to dealers of maybe a couple of things that maybe they've heard before, but they're afraid to try it, or because this isn't about spending thousands a month in marketing. I never did that.
it's not.
It's
It's
not.
really not. I was in no financial position whatsoever to be able to put a bunch of money into marketing. Um, uh, I can be a little bit harsh, and I don't mean that. I don't mean to be harsh, but I'm a very blunt and open person. You know that about me. Um, the $200 cheaper, or oh, they offer this little plus or bonus or whatever. These are excuses that people are making for themselves. Um, our reality in this industry is that all of these lots, the buildings, they pretty much look the same. Um, when, from a customer's perspective, they don't see the slight differences that we're aware there.
I agree.
Um, but a shed lot is a dime a dozen. I don't know about, where everybody else is at, but for me anyway, you can't throw a rock without hitting at least 3 shed dealers. The name of the game is service, making sure you care about your customers and genuinely care. Understand that their money is important. Um, and show them that you care, that they're satisfied, not just today, but a year from now, 2 years from now. You want to make sure that they are getting the building to fit their needs. Sometimes that means, I don't like the word upselling, but that's what it is. Sometimes it does mean upselling when they say, hey, I want to put my go-kart, my lawnmower, and, 20 years of Christmas decorations in an 8x12. Well, that's not going to happen. So you have to, explain these things. Visual aids really help. Like here, this is how much this how much space something like this takes up, so on and so forth. Educate yourself so that you can provide them really accurate information. It also means downsizing or downselling sometimes, but you have to
Oh,
be
yeah.
just as willing to downsell as you are to upsell.
I'm glad you brought that up because yeah, that's very true. Very,
Somebody comes in wanting a 16x40 and they're like, oh, hey, I just, want to put my little riding lawnmower in there and a Christmas tree. Well, you know what? Hey, good news. You don't need to spend that much. Here, let me show you this 12x20.
right. Give them options.
Absolutely. Lay the
I think,
options out there. Never be intrusive. I do not believe in the high pressure sale at all,
right.
ever, because I don't want someone to have buyer's remorse and start thinking back, going, man, this lady really took advantage of me. I have taken classes and things like that to learn how to be a better salesperson. And some of them really will lead you to that, the high pressure sale and the psychology behind it, and taking advantage of a person in a delicate psychological state. That
Yeah.
is not fair. And customers pick up on that. They know when you actually care, you're being honest. Don't push them into that sale. If they don't want to buy today, if they want to go home and talk to their wife or their husband, you don't ask them, Well, what are you going to talk to your wife or husband about? Because it's none of your business. The best way I handle that.
I was trying not to laugh because I mean, I guess there is that, it comes down to, I mean, we all have our preconceived notions of how we do things and how we like to be treated. But if let's take a poll of 100 people, and very few people are going to want to hear, you know, what you just said. I mean,
what are you going to talk to your wife?
What do you need to talk about? I mean, if it's working for someone, keep doing it. But
by all
I
means,
suggest that you don't have to do it. And
greetings from the Shed Gal. As I delve deeper into the shed and steel building industries, I am thrilled to establish connections with friends who offer amazing products, such as Wendell Hochstetler, the owner of VersaBend Tube Bender. At VersaBend, they thank you for your interest in their tube bender. The VersaBend is designed to bend 2-inch, 2 1/4 inch, and 2 1/2 inch square tubing, as well as 2 by 3 inch rectangular tubing in either 14 or 12 gauge. Powered by a robust 5 horsepower unit, it features 2 adjustable stops for setting your desired degree or pitch. Priced at just $19,500 and shipped from Abbeville, South Carolina, you can secure your VersaBend with a down payment of only $1,500. Contact them today to check availability and get placed on their order list. VersaBend is a family-owned business dedicated to providing an easy-to-operate bender made with off-the-shelf components. A unique feature of their bender is that it offers a full radius bend, unlike the double crushed bends produced by most other machines. Want to see it in action? Visit their website at www.csecarport.supply or give them a call at 864-446-3645.
The other thing that, and I talk to dealers about this all the time, is like signage. I haven't found any other industry, and this is so interesting to me. We are not
so important.
We are not selling a $25 used car part, right? We are selling buildings that are thousands of dollars, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 25, 30, sometimes 60. So, I mean, that's not for an 8x10, but there's companies finishing off buildings. And
absolutely.
Yet they can't even invest in a sign or have normal business hours or pick up the phone and actually introduce themselves and ask the customer's name. And someone might say, "Oh, well, she's crazy." Everybody's professional on the phone. Yeah. Well, I can assure you that's not true. It blows me away. That's the part of this industry I don't understand. I mean, then we get folks, you just don't know what you don't know. But the signage thing, the banners, I just drove up from Arkansas, Fort Smith, Arkansas to Kansas City last week. I went by several beautiful display lots. Beautiful. I mean, they looked great. They really looked nice. And I won't mention the company. One did have a small manufacturer sign, but I'm like, not open on a Saturday, which is kind of bizarre to me because a lot of people are out shopping on Saturdays because most people now work during the week. But it's just so interesting. And then, the biggest thing is, customer service. Customer service.
Absolutely. That's what I was about to say it's because these lots are so, I won't say identical, but so similar.
They are to a customer.
They are to a customer. They're all the same. So it's very important. It's very important to provide that customer service, letting people know that you care. It's also important to pay attention to your lot. Make sure that it is aesthetically pleasing. I don't want to pull up onto a lot that's an absolute mess and I have to walk through a labyrinth of buildings to try to find anything. It also makes it harder it's harder on a salesperson. Your customer can't see what's going on. Keep your lot clean and organized. It's very, very, very important. The way my lot is set up, you drive in and you can drive up and down each little aisle, see every building on the lot without stepping out of your car.
Yeah.
My hours are displayed clearly on my door. There's also, of course, branding that is very, very important. I learned that from you. Not everybody's always going to like your business name, but if it's right for you, then it's right for you.
Yeah. Well, Shed happens. You aren't the only Shed happens in the United States, and I happen to love the name.
Indeed.
So if the other Shed happens, dealers out there, I love your name. We can't, let's talk about that. We can't please everyone. And one of the, having a degree in marketing and we can't please everyone. We have to have our own identity. And so when we have this vanilla generic, whatever it is, and nothing sets us apart, that's bad. And then on the other side of that is, trying to conform to an identity that is not ours.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big deal, but it does crack me up in this industry. And I mean, I don't understand the pushback of dealers saying, "Why I just don't, need a sign." It's like every
I think they're scared.
and restaurant has a sign that wants people to come there. Every store.
Absolutely.
So please, folks, it doesn't have to be expensive. I don't get paid by Build-A-Sign or Vistaprint, but you can go on buildasign.com and get a 4x8 beautiful banner for very little money. The other thing I see is that people feel that they need to write a book and put it on a banner that people are driving by at 60 miles an hour, and that's not true. What do you think is the most important thing that someone sees or remembers when they drive by your lot?
Your name.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you have something that's different and not the same as every other dealer out there, it will stick. I am aware that my business name, Shed Happens, is edgy. It's a little bit silly. And so am I.
Yeah.
It humanizes me.
Yes.
They know that just because they're rolling up to the dealer, I don't refer to myself as the boss. I refer to myself as boss lady of Shed Happens.
Yeah.
They're not intimidated. They're not nervous. They've already seen that human side of me, that little bit of silliness, that, ridiculous woman that loves dad jokes.
Yeah.
Punny things. And I mean, I have not had one single customer tell me, "Oh, well, we just don't like this. We're terribly offended." It's always met with giggles and laughs and really, that's your business name?
Yeah. No, and I think you're right. And I know it is important. I've had this conversation with several people that run the manufacturing company. It's like, well, we want our name out there too. And I'm like, and I want you to sell more buildings. I mean, if it's all about the manufacturer and it's not about the dealer, I mean, there is a way that sells more buildings, and it isn't just emphasizing the manufacturer. Now, there is a wonderful company out there that their dealers are employees, their haulers are employees, all of their lots are owned by the manufacturer, and they're all branded the same. That is not what I'm talking about. They have a brilliant business model, most beautiful manufacturing plan I've ever seen. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when you have a manufacturer and they've got multiple dealers, and it's ABC sheds of here and ABC sheds of there. It doesn't help. In fact, I think it's detrimental in the sale of sales, because it just is.
Well, if you want to set yourself apart as a business and you want to show that you're different and you're really going to take care of them and things like that, it doesn't really help if your name is the same as everybody else's.
Right. Well, and it's the memory thing. So the Shed Queens, you know who I'm talking about with the Shed
I
Queens.
do indeed. They are wonderful ladies.
Sallisaw, Oklahoma. They are absolutely amazing. Lisa and Doretha. And they have told me, they'll laugh when they watch this. They have told me no less than 10 times what their former business name is. It was 4 words long. That's all I remember. I cannot remember it to this day. Boy, I'll never forget the Shed Queens. And Doretha said to me something very soon after they rebranded and they changed it on Google. She said someone had called or come in, one or the other, and that they had said, they Googled sheds near them, and they were like, "Oh, we're going to the Shed Queens." The name. I just can't. I probably talk about that too much on the podcast, but when I see so many dealers struggling, and the answers, many of the answers, not all, but many of the answers are so simple to me that if you will try this, and this, you will see how it will help your sales. It's funny when I get pushback about the branding, because it's like, and again, you have the two different models of most of the manufacturers I see. There's not even oftentimes consistency amongst the branding within the manufacturing company, which just then they really have a problem. Going back to customer service, it's I don't think there's anybody that's listening that is saying, I don't provide the best customer service. But when I have the experiences of calling around, and a shed dealer answers the phone, they don't mention who they are. They never ask the person's name. They don't ask where it's being delivered to. They don't ask this. What they're trying to do, in my opinion, you and I have talked about this, what they're trying to do, in their head, that person just wants a cheap quote. They just want a quick quote. Folks, I'm challenging you. No, they don't. They aren't buying a $25 or $50 used car part. They are spending thousands of dollars. And this industry is proving every day that the people that are doing it differently and that are providing better customer service and not trying to rush it because of their insecurities, they're selling more buildings.
Absolutely. My biggest advice for new dealers and people that are just getting into this industry is to come up with your brand, your standard, what you say when you answer the phone. You need to introduce yourself and your business. Ask them, how can I help you? That's going to start a great conversation. That was something I kind of had to nail down.
Yeah.
But it has made a big difference. And it's just easier for me. I pick up the phone and it's automatic.
Yeah.
Hi, you've reached Mariah with Shed Happens. How can I help you? But just hello, which I actually did some calls here not too long ago and got at least 3 people that just answered their business line. Hello?
Yeah.
That's not helpful.
Now, I don't know any insurance agencies or stores or restaurants or retail stores that I don't know of any.
Nobody answers the phone. Hello. You have to treat it like a business, because it is.
In full disclosure, though, I took my new pup to the vet a couple weeks ago, and before I did, I called and the gal said, "Hello?" And I was like, is this the veterinary office? And she's like, "I'm so sorry. It was a boo-boo. But you're right. There are dealers that do that. And then, and then the excuse is, oh, well, people, it's an election year, or the guy down the street's $200 cheaper, or they were just a tire kicker, or they're just this. No, sometimes they just want to, I'm spending $10,000. I want to talk to someone. They want to be
informed
and talk to someone who knows what they're doing and acts like a professional. Let's talk about that. There's a lot of different philosophies in the industry, but the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, dealers almost exclusively are 1099 contractors, which means they are their own boss. They are, of course, we have to follow the rules of the company. That's a given. But, I see oftentimes dealers being treated like employees, but not, gosh, I'm losing words of how to explain this. Are you a business owner? Or are you just a dealer?
Have you been considering adding a line of greenhouses to your brand? At Cold Spring Enterprises, we have the perfect solution for you. By incorporating greenhouse products into your sales location, whether you're a do-it-yourself dealer or a manufacturer supporting multiple shed lots, you can expand your customer base. We offer easy-to-assemble greenhouse kits that will simplify the process of adding greenhouses to your lot. You can choose between two basic styles, an economy style and an A-frame style. We can ship a standard 8x12 greenhouse kit directly to your shed lot or manufacturing location. These kits include all the necessary components for assembly, except for the wainscoting or clear panels, door, and fan. However, we can assist you in connecting with the supplier for these items. Moreover, we also offer negotiable bulk pricing for multiple units. To help you get started, we are pleased to offer an exclusive discount through the Shed Geek podcast. You can receive an 8x12 economy or A-frame style greenhouse, complete with wainscoting or clear panels, a screen door, and fan. The pricing for a complete one-time display unit starts at $2,195 for an economy style and $2,545 for an A-frame style, excluding shipping and tax. For more information and to request bulk unit pricing, please visit www.shedgeek.com/cold-spring-enterprises and fill out your information, and someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. Or simply go to the Shed Geek newsletter and click on the greenhouse picture to fill out your information. Thank you for considering our greenhouse kits. We are excited to work together to bring greenhouse kits to your line of products.
I am a business owner.
Yeah.
I think I could be mistaken, and stop me if I'm wrong. I think where you were going with that is they're being treated like employees, but not cared for like employees.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and when it occurred to me, and you brought this to light, and you're like, "Hey, girly, wake up! You're a business owner. Act like it." It changed the tone. It's where now this is my business. This is my responsibility. I don't need to look to somebody else to take care of this and this and this. I can take care of this and this and this because it's my business.
Right.
When a customer walks into your lot, now I have had one or two customers ask me who the manufacturer is. Generally speaking, I'm sorry, manufacturers, they don't care.
Yeah.
The customers don't. It is our job as salespeople to advise them of any warranties, building points, and educate them on that subject. Not to say that you should ever, ever, ever trash your competition.
No, I
don't
agree.
believe in competition. I do not have competition. I want everyone to win, and there is plenty out there for everyone to do that. Collaboration happens at the top, competition happens at the bottom.
Okay, you sound a lot like me. That's no, but I mean, there's just different philosophy. I'm just speechless because like literally those words have. I mean, we've discussed them before, but it's just how you and I both absolutely live our lives.
Absolutely. It just competition it's such a negative thing. And you can
Competition is good but it I think we
it
see
has
it
these
as a
negative connotations.
and we use it as an excuse. And that's I don't.
Indeed.
And I don't think you do. And I know a lot of the
I do
people
not.
that I work with absolutely don't. I was thinking of something when you said you've had a couple of folks ask who the manufacturer are, because I know in 7 years, number one, how many people at the manufacturing plant have ever been a dealer? Very few. Okay,
Right.
so it would be like me going into a manufacturing plant. I would have no idea what to do. So it works both ways. But I think oftentimes on the manufacturing side, I mean, people do not care who the manufacturer is,
No.
but the manufacturers want the customers to know who the manufacturer is. We're never suggesting you hide the manufacturer. That's not it.
No.
But I think that the manufacturers, if they quit worrying about getting their name out and helped the dealers with branding and those things, sales would go up.
Absolutely.
In fact, I know a couple of companies where I see it happening in just that. And I wish the other companies would follow. The manufacturers, in my opinion, if they quit worrying about just getting their name out there and start worrying about what's important, which is let's sell more buildings for this manufacturer, it would change things. when we go
Absolutely.
back,
Nurture those dealers and watch them bloom.
yeah, yeah. What do you think about, and I know you know my philosophy on haulers. I have the utmost respect for shed haulers. I hauled buildings myself in Washington State. It only lost one off the back of the truck. Hey, that's how I met Sam Byler. Wouldn't change that. But I, what do you think about kind of the overall industry as far as what you see, how dealers sometimes treat haulers versus how I know you and I believe that dealers should treat haulers?
I am so glad you brought that up. That's actually exactly what was just bouncing around in my head. From the day I walked onto my lot, I showed my drivers absolute respect and courtesy, was always friendly to them, and it paid off in spades. I heard from other dealers it's such a strange mindset that, oh, dealers are better, they should be running the show, or whatever the case is. They need a reality check of, we're like appendages on a body, different but all equally important, whether it's delivery drivers, rental return drivers, builders, the people in the office, the RTO company. We all have to work together as a cohesive unit, because if one of us fails, we're done.
I
Every
agree.
single one of us.
Yeah.
And to treat these people that are coming in, working in these hot conditions, cold conditions, they have so much more physical labor to do. And then we're also running around going, hey, can you rearrange my lot? Can you move this building? Can you move that building? If you show just an ounce of understanding and compassion, it will come back to you. The complaints that I have heard most often is about drivers dropping buildings in weird places or something like that. The first question that a dealer needs to ask themselves is, did you go out and greet them? Did you talk to them? Did you tell them where you wanted the building? Have you had any discussions with them to give them the basic vision of your lot? How you want it to look, where you want certain sizes of buildings to go. No? Well, then I don't want to hear it,
Yeah.
because you did not inform them and they can't read your mind.
Yeah. I've been to dealers' lots before. And in most cases, they're doing what you're saying of getting up from behind their desk and going and greeting the driver, and they've really developed a good rapport. And then on a couple of occasions, I've seen where the driver comes and they're picking up a building or they're dropping off a building, and that dealer never gets out from behind their desk. And I was thinking recently about, let's switch positions, and now you're that shed hauler, and you're there to pick up, let's just say you're there to pick up a building to deliver it to a customer. And you see no other cars. So you know that you don't know if maybe the dealer's on the phone with someone. Let's give a little grace here, but let's just assume that the dealer's not doing anything. And in often many cases that's true. And it's a repeated pattern that they never come out and greet you. It's just such a weird message to me that, like, the hauler isn't even important, that we can't stop even if we are in the middle of with the customer.
Exactly.
And go out. And I just encourage everybody, really develop those relationships.
Absolutely. And you know what? A cold bottle of water is worth so much. Just courtesy.
Absolutely. I had the really coolest thing. Shannon Howard, super nice guy, with Sasquatch Sheds. He had won a contest recently, and he had won $500. And we were talking about it yesterday, and he said, I'm taking that money and I'm going to go buy a bunch of goodies and take it to the guys at the plant. Now, he isn't by the plant. In fact, he's well over 45 minutes away. Oh my God.
Oh, that's a very long way though, 45 minutes.
I know, so far. So far, but at least 2.5 hours, possibly more. And that is so cool, because we, on numerous occasions in Washington State, when we were up there, we catered lunch at the plant. and for the builders, and they were so appreciative, and on the first time they were like, no other dealers ever done this for us. And I was like, really? Like, I was just trying to show them my appreciation. And when Shannon brought that up, I was like, that is so cool. Nobody said to him, gosh, Shannon, you should do something nice for the builders. Shannon is this wonderful human being that understands that we're all like you, all on the same team. And
Exactly.
most dealers never even make a trip to their plant. Most dealers have never ridden with a hauler, ride with them. It's fun. Or follow them to the delivery, or, follow them around for the day and see what they do. Boy, it's hard work, especially for an old lady like me. Um, I had fingernails like this when I was hauling sheds. And I didn't come home often with fingernails looking like this, I'll tell you that. But man, I wouldn't go back and change that experience. It was, I did it out of necessity because the manufacturer needed it. And it was, but it gave me such a different perspective. It's such a cool industry.
Hi, I'm Dylan from the Shed Geek marketing team, and I want to address a common misconception about marketing. Often people approach us for just one service, like social media management, where we plan and schedule your monthly posts. While this is a valuable time saver, it's just one piece of your complete marketing strategy, much like a shed with its various components. Let's simplify it. Think of your social media channels and Google My Business as the foundation, similar to the runners of a shed. They support your digital storefront, your website, which is like the floor joists and band boards. To enhance your marketing, you'll need tools like Google Analytics, Facebook Pixel, and Google Tags, which are like the walls. These tools help track the success of your campaigns, measuring form submissions, 3D shed creations, and phone calls generated by our ads. Now, let's talk about the roof. Meta and Google ad campaigns. These are the top layers that complete your marketing shed. While you may inquire about one specific service, remember, they all contribute to the overall structure of your marketing strategy. At Shed Geek Marketing, we're happy to work on one individual aspect, but our goal is to build a comprehensive marketing shed that will truly stand out in the digital landscape. If you're ready to talk about your marketing strategy that will take your shed business to the next level, just go to shedgeek.com and fill out a submission form or contact the Shed Geek for more information.
Could we talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, about your history? Because you have, and I don't know the whole story, but you have what I believe some of the good stuff like Rebecca Waite had. And what I'm hoping is one person is listening or watching and saying, if she can do it, I can do it too. There's someone struggling out there that's going to listen or watch this. Would you mind sharing what you're comfortable sharing, Mariah? And if you're not comfortable, we don't have to.
I am 100% comfortable. I talk about my recovery process all the time. For exactly that reason, that if all of the little side eyes that I get and stuff like that, if it results in just one person getting sober and knowing that there's hope, then
folks,
it's all
we're
worth it.
talking about anything, any substance. It could be alcohol. Hey, it's legal, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have a problem.
Absolutely. There are very few, if any, people on this planet left that addiction has not touched in some way in their life, whether it be them directly or a friend, a family member. There are high functioning addicts, which at one time I was one of those. High functioning addicts are a very scary breed because we can walk around all day long and you'd never know. That does not mean that we are at any less risk. It is, I would say, a 99% chance that just about anybody listening to this has a high functioning addict somewhere in their circle and they have no idea.
Wow. I did not realize that.
Yeah, it's really, it's scary because nobody knows. They can't come to you and be like, hey, maybe you should stop doing this, because they have no idea. But high functioning addicts are the same as low functioning addicts. What they're actually doing is trying to feel normal. If you sat down and listened to an addict's story, and listen to their life, by the time you're done, if you have any compassion whatsoever, you will understand why they are the way they are. People do not grow up going, hey, you know what I want to be when I grow up? I want to be a drug addict. There are stories and pain that a lot of people can't even imagine. I grew up a very depressed and anxiety ridden girl. I was like that from the time I was very young. My mom was a single mom. Uh, I started using drugs, I would say, when I was probably about 12. Um, drinking and stuff like that pretty excessively. Um, it's been any number of things, whether it was alcohol, pills, meth, all of it, because I was trying to feel normal. It is so hard to walk around every day with a broken heart. And that's how I felt every single day. If you can think of the first time, your first love broke up with you and it broke your heart, that's how I felt every day. That's how most addicts feel every day until they get high.
Wow.
So just offer some compassion, a little understanding, a little grace that people are human and we are all just trying to survive. We're doing our best. Don't ever shut them out and throw them away. They're still human. They're not garbage. And deserve love. If anything, addicts need love a little more. Knowing they're supported, being a good support system for an addict is really, really important. I found my people, my support system, and actually to this day, I still have people added to it periodically, yourself included. Sometimes just a smile when you walk down the road, just little tiny acts of kindness can make a huge difference. That's all I got.
Wow. I'm not kidding you. Zoom in here. I have goosebumps because like you said something that I've literally never thought of before, that I just was trying to feel normal. And that feeling of that first love that breaks your heart, or we've all had, many people only had one love, so they maybe can't even relate, but we have all had something that has broken our heart. And I never realized that there were people until right this moment that wake up and feel that way every day. I mean, this is a Shed podcast. Magnificent Monday, by the way. Shed Geek podcast.
Sorry, it got kind of deep
from
there.
The shutdown. But it's more than that. This is a human industry. It
is.
You're not the only felon working in the shed industry, right?
Indeed, I am not.
And it's but that to me, like, and having the compassion, just Mariah, I just feel like this is just weird. I just feel like we haven't heard the last of you as far as your story and where you're going in this industry, and there's more to it than that. I think that I do understand that you do some help with that. There's some things close to your heart to keep your sobriety. I did want to touch on something. We're not going to get into specifics because that's not what this podcast is for.
Right.
But your sobriety has been tested greatly due to something that happened. And throughout it, you have remained steadfast in trusting that the truth would be known. And I just want to tell you how proud I am. I am truly so proud of you. And I am so glad to call you a friend, that you didn't do what most anybody else would have done given the situation and go back to using. Because I wouldn't have blamed you, Mariah. I wouldn't have blamed you at all, because I know exactly what happened. And if you can stay sober through something like this, I want that to give some hope to people that some really horrible things can happen, and they can too. But I think it's part of reaching out And one of the things that I feel with Rebecca, and she might disagree with me, but I think she would agree with me. She's remained sober because she's not living in the shame of what was. She's living in
Exactly.
today and being open and sharing her story. You'd never know, Mariah, meeting your history. I would have never known with Rebecca meeting her history, but it's powerful because there's one person that you're going to change their life today listening to this. And that's what
You mean I
matters.
don't look like a drug addict felon?
No, no, you don't.
No.
We all have this preconceived notion of, and it's like, yeah. And it's like Rebecca, when,
Yeah.
I knew a little bit of her story before the podcast, but not a lot. And that's simply because we had become friends several months before the podcast. She had reached out for some help, became Facebook friends, and she had posted, like her, a little bit of her story. And I'm like, man, that I know people that have remained in their addiction because they just continue to live in the shame. And it's like, it's sad. You're living proof that you can change your life.
I am absolutely, and there is no reason to be ashamed of your past. When people ask me about my past, and it happens pretty regularly, because I talk about it all the time. I feel zero shame. I wouldn't even change my past. Was it difficult? Sure, absolutely, but it made me who I am today. It made me
Yep.
understand where
Amen.
people come from,
Yep.
and I understand that heartbreak every day when you wake up. I know what it feels like. Um,
Yeah.
but I want anybody struggling that's listening to this right now to know that that dark place that your mind is in, that people who haven't experienced addiction are not going to understand. I know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about. It is not permanent. My entire mindset, the way it is inside my head, it used to be so dark and just constant negativity. I put it on everything that I hold dear. It can change. It is all sunshine and rainbows up here these days,
Yeah.
and I love it.
Yeah. I
Change can
that's
happen.
amazing. I think it's amazing. And it yeah, this is a shed metal building, industry related podcast, but we are full of human beings. I haven't yet met a perfect
Exactly.
human being. I will say Sam Byler, he's pretty close to being perfect, and Shannon Latham pretty close to being perfect, pretty close. But I haven't met another
It's
perfect
close.
human being in the world yet. See, that's because I'm hoping they give me kudos because I said how wonderful they
Well,
are.
well, that level of compassion, if you transfer that onto your customers, because the customers coming into you also have problems and issues, and you know what? Out there, life is hard. This is what I tell my customers all the time. Life is hard. It is difficult. It is my job as a dealer and a salesperson to make your life easier, not harder. I am not going to pressure you into anything. Let me take care of this. Let me take care of you. And they respond to it really well. But I'm not saying that on a superficial level. I mean it.
Right.
I
Yeah.
will take care of you. And they know that.
Yeah.
And it transfers into repeat business, word of mouth advertising. You cannot get advertising better than that. Facebook cannot provide that.
I
I
agree.
had a lady come into me. Now we talked about that I've only been there since December. And that the reputation of that lot was kind of shaky before that. But about a month ago, a lady comes into me. She said, well, I've been looking for a portable building and I have asked all over the place. Um, well, I'm not going to name off towns because they won't make any sense here, but all over the surrounding towns for a pretty good distance. Where should I get a portable building? Every single person she talked to told her to go to Shed Happens in Davis.
Wow.
I was taken aback. I was floored. I almost cried a little bit. My cheeks got all red.
Yeah.
getting that good positive word of mouth advertising, because even people that have not bought from me, they come in and talk to me and they know how I treated them. More than anything, people are not going to remember so much the specifics of what you say. They're going to remember how you made them feel. Did you
Oh,
make them feel respected? Did you make them feel heard? That is the most important thing, hands down, how you make somebody feel, because they're not going to remember the specific words. They're not,
yeah,
but they will
yeah.
remember that feeling.
I absolutely agree. When and you do metal buildings too, right? And
I do.
we don't put the metal building versus sheds. So I know for myself, I'm curious. I'm gonna feed you information, but then I'm gonna ask you a question. I myself am a shed dealer who also offers metal buildings, and we do a
Okay.
ton of both. How do you think in the industry? I mean, do you think it's a good fit that dealers offer both? Because I absolutely do. Because I think the more you can
Absolutely.
drive people to your lot, the better for
Absolutely.
you.
The more service you can offer, and products you can offer is going to bring more people in. Even outside of metal buildings, there's porches. I actually ran across a lady on Facebook here not too long ago that has these beautiful benches painted like butterflies. The woman's remarkable.
You sent me those, and I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Aren't they
I
gorgeous?
think they're brilliant, in part because I've never seen anything like it in my life. But she has great business.
A variety. When somebody can walk into your office and you can give them information on your portable buildings, you can give them information on your carports, your portable porches, your shipping containers, your storm shelters, your whatever you can offer,
Yeah,
is fantastic.
yeah, play sets, yeah, all those things.
Play sets,
Yeah,
absolutely. Those are
yeah,
really cute, by the way.
yeah, yeah. Shedgal.com to check out those cute play sets, and if anyone wants to be
I
a dealer,
mean,
reach out to me. Yeah, I think it's just such an incredible industry, and I had no idea how this, how this Zoom call, where it was going to go or what we were going to talk about, because we don't script things. I'm glad we touched on customer service. I'm glad we touched on the relationship between, the builders and those in the office and the dealers and the haulers. I think it's critical that we just keep working towards, you know, um, having unity. I'm glad we touched on recovery and addiction.
me
You
too.
know, this industry is one of the most forgiving industries I've ever seen
It's
as far as the opportunities we provide. And now, for anyone listening, I'm not talking about forgiving things that we choose to make the right decision and we bury our heads in the sand when we know the truth. What I'm talking about is forgiving that we allow people opportunities. This is a good woman right
indeed.
now. She's a fantastic dealer. And my guess is we're going to see fantastic things from her in the future, even though she had to drive 45 minutes. But the fact that you continued, you didn't just take no for an answer. That isn't being pushy. You saw an opportunity, you liked the product, you love the service that Julie provided you, and you wanted to also offer that product. Good for you.
I did,
Um,
and I have made I'm sure will be lifelong friends. From Julie, the Shed Queens, Lisa and Doretha. They are fantastic. Shannon, that you were talking about
yeah,
earlier, that's a heck of a guy.
yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to meet the wonderful and amazing Shed Gal.
Thank you. Thank you
Um,
very much.
she's pretty awesome as well. I don't know if
That's
she'd
it.
drive 45 minutes to her lot though.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, remember my Arizona lots. If I started out at lot number one, it was 3 hours to lot number two. From lot number two to three was 3 hours, and from three to one, it was 3 hours. So yeah,
Oh goodness.
probably a good thing that they didn't worry about that it was more than 45 minutes away. Oh gosh, what a yeah.
Yeah,
Gosh.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's overall, yeah, there are some issues and some, difficult things that happen and stuff like that because again, we are human. All of us are. But overall, there are so many very, very good people in this industry, really genuinely good, very down to earth. I mean, honestly, it's not only that I was an addict and a single mother and raised by a single mother and stuff. I also didn't graduate high school. I was gone, 16 years old. I was done. I had my son when I was 17 years old. Um, all of those things together, every box was ticked that I was going to fail and I was going to be nothing and nobody in the corner. That was it.
Yeah.
And this is the first time in my life, Susan, that I've been able to pay my bills, still have money left over. I don't have to pick and choose which bill gets taken care of. There were times while my kids were growing up that I skipped meals to make sure they ate. Um, and that I eat out every day. I probably should cook more, but I don't. Um, I've been in my apartment for almost 6 months. I've cooked twice.
Yeah. Well, there's some of us that just don't like to cook. Yeah.
I'm actually a really good cook. I just hate doing dishes.
Oh, that's hilarious. Hey, paper plates, girl. That's where it's at.
Yes.
Yeah, I do have full respect for folks that cook all the time because it's not that I won't cook. I truly am a horrible cook. So full disclosure, I'm just a horrible cook. Yeah, I think it's such a fantastic industry that we, I don't know if you know this, but Shannon Latham, was involved in recovery and working at a place, and Sam Byler has done prison ministry, and Dan that works for me has years in that. It is such a great industry, and we open people with open arms and giving an opportunity. Matter of fact, one of the dealers I just hired, he's felon and very limited. And they told him, it's a federal crime. And they told me, you're going to go to truck driving school. And he just absolutely hates it. He is just going to be, I know he is going to be a fantastic dealer. And we're giving him an opportunity that he just wouldn't have elsewhere. Industry people, please keep it up. This is, we are a forgiving group, and we are also, we are across the nation, but you'll get more and more involved with people in the industry. And it's like, it is so cool to be able to sit down to other people that truly know what we're talking about, being
Absolutely.
a dealer or, sales manager or whatever. It is so cool to just surround ourselves by like-minded people in an industry. And let's face it, it's a shed. It's not exactly exciting, but on the other hand, it's really exciting to me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
My family gets a little tired of hearing me talk about sheds, and it's constant every time I'm out to eat. That's another thing for new dealers. It is so essential everywhere you go. Talk about what you do. And I mean, you can come up with ways to bring it up. Exactly, Miss Shed Gal.
And wear your brand.
Yeah, I'm not wearing one of my Shed Happens shirts right now, but they do exist.
Well, I just happen to have one right here. Super cute.
Indeed.
Super cute. Yeah, super cute. So
That's
I wasn't running away from you. I had that shirt right there. So yeah, I think this is good stuff. I've had a lot of fun with this conversation today, and perhaps next time we do a podcast, we can talk about 12 gauge versus 14 gauge steel, or 2x4s versus 2x6s, or vertical roofing versus horizontal. But I don't really think that any of us want to hear about that.
Not really.
I think what we want to hear about is we are human beings in this industry, and all of us are just trying to do the best we can. To anybody out there that is in the midst of any type of an addiction, there is help for you. There are people that will help you within the industry. Absolutely, no doubt. If you have questions,
absolutely. And that phone number that just was up on your on my t-shirt, Anyone that is ever listening to this and needs somebody to talk to, I do not care if it is 2 o'clock in the morning and you just need to be heard. Call.
Wow. We'll make sure that we put that phone number up, Mariah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'd like to thank Mariah very, very much for joining me today on this week's magnificent Monday
Hey,
episode
this is
of
Mo
the Shed Geek
Lunsford in
Podcast.
sunny Union
We
Grove,
appreciate our
North
listeners.
Carolina. And
We
we want to
appreciate
say
our
thank
viewers,
you to all
and we
the
will see you
guests
again next
and
week.
listeners.